The moment I stepped out of the courthouse, I walked to my Bugatti like any other day. That's when my wife shot me a confused look. Correction. My ex-wife, Khloe. Ethan, I thought you said you were bankrupt. Why are you still driving this? Oh, this? I haven't gotten around to signing it over to the bank yet. You were in such a hurry with the divorce. I didn't want to hold up your bright future. Figured I'd get this out of the way for you first. I didn't have the energy to argue with her. It was hard to tell if she was terrified my bankruptcy would drag her down or if she was just eager to find her next meal ticket. When she signed the papers, she didn't ask for a single thing. Just as I fired up the engine, a white BMW pulled up, driven by Khloe's best friend, Olivia Morgan. Thinking about Olivia always pissed me off. Let's be real, she was at least half the reason Khloe was in such a rush to divorce me. Khloe, congratulations on being single again. Olivia chirped, then shot me a smirk. She was probably convinced she'd dug up the scoop of the century with her intel about my financial ruin. But what Olivia and Khloe would never in a million years figure out is that I was the one who leaked the news of my own bankruptcy. I had no choice. My company was about to go public on the NYSE, and analysts were predicting a valuation of at least $1 billion minimum. I had to be sure about Khloe. I couldn't afford a single crack in the foundation, not a hint of distrust. Otherwise, if she decided to pull the plug after the IPO, the mess would be catastrophic. I'd be forced to hand over hundreds of millions of dollars. I'm no saint. I'm not that generous. Besides, this company was my life's work. I wouldn't let anything jeopardize it. What I hadn't expected was that just one day after my employee planted the rumor, Khloe would be asking for a divorce. Of course, Olivia had helped push her, but it's not like Khloe was some innocent victim here. That afternoon, I planned on finally getting some rest. The IPO had kept me buried in work for months. But then, Khloe's mother called, asking if I was free for dinner. To be fair, I'm the kind of person who keeps things separate. While things with Khloe had ended badly, her mother had always been good to me. I told her I'd be there. At 6 o'clock, we met at the Vanguard Grill. When I arrived, Khloe and her mom were already seated at a table by the window. Khloe immediately turned her head away, but her mother stood up and greeted me with the same warmth as always. Ethan, come sit. For a moment, it felt like nothing had changed. Her mom kept insisting I try the best dishes, just like she used to, but I knew that chapter was closed. Ethan, I only just found out about you and Khloe, she began. Honestly, I've always felt she was the one who married up. When I heard about your financial troubles, I thought Khloe would finally step up, prove she was the kind of woman who would stand by you through thick and thin. But I never imagined my daughter would be so short-sighted, so lacking in vision. She went behind my back and filed for divorce. As she spoke, her anger was palpable. Unlike Khloe, she understood what it meant to be a self-made man, to build a company from nothing in just a few years. In her eyes, bankruptcy was just a temporary setback for someone like me. She knew I'd bounce back. Her words, however, set Khloe off. Mom, would you stop making me sound worthless? There are a million guys like him in the dating pool, and you can save the effort. Divorcing Ethan was my decision, and I don't regret it for a second. With that, Khloe grabbed her purse and stormed out, leaving her mother in an awkward silence. I didn't stay much longer. After a few more minutes of polite conversation, I got up to leave. But just as I reached the door, her mother stopped me. Ethan, is there really no chance for you and Khloe? I didn't say a word. I just shook my head. She let out a long, heavy sigh, as if accepting a final, bitter truth, and slumped back into her chair without another word. The next day, I slept in until noon. Most of the prep work was done, and there was nothing left that needed my immediate attention. Then my real estate agent called. I recognized the number. It meant the penthouse I bought a while back was finally ready. Honestly, I'm not picky about where I live. After marrying Khloe, we'd stayed in my spacious but simple downtown apartment. I was too busy with work to even think about house hunting, but things were different now. I was about to be the CEO of a publicly traded company. It was time for an upgrade. Mr. Hayes, the Sterling Tower penthouse is all set. You can move in today. How would you like me to get you the keys? I could bring them over now. Just meet me at the entrance. I'll be there in about half an hour. I glanced around the apartment. There was almost nothing I needed to take, just a few personal items. The penthouse was fully furnished, and if I needed anything else, I could just have someone buy it for me. Just as I was about to hang up, the agent spoke again. Mr. Hayes, I have a favor to ask if you don't mind. I'm listening. Well, the Sterling Tower penthouse is the only residence in the city valued at over $50 million, and you're the very first resident. A friend of mine is a journalist, and she was hoping to do an interview. I knew where this was going. I could have easily said no, but the agent, Sophia, was a sweet, hard-working kid who had been running around for me nonstop. She'd even handled a ton of the tedious paperwork for the penthouse when I was too swamped to do it myself. Thinking about it, I agreed. I remembered what it was like to be a grinder trying to get ahead. I understood her anxiety. If I could help her out, why not? As I expected, she was ecstatic. Mr. Hayes, thank you so much. Don't mention it. I hung up, grabbed my phone charger and a few documents, and walked out the door. When I pulled the Bugatti up to the Sterling Tower, the agent, Sophia Chun, was already waiting by the curb. But the woman standing next to her, she looked familiar. The way she dressed, the designer bag she was holding, it was Khloe's exact style. She was turned to the side, talking to Sophia, so I couldn't see her face clearly. I wasn't sure. Then again, it was entirely possible. After all, Khloe was a journalist. A moment later, I parked the car and walked over. Sophia saw me and hurried over, a bright, youthful smile on her face that instantly put you at ease. Mr. Hayes, you're here. Yeah. Is this your journalist friend? Yes. Let me introduce you. This is Khloe Davis. She's an old classmate of mine. When she heard someone was finally moving into the Sterling, Sophia trailed off, noticing the way Khloe and I were staring at each other. She might not have known our history, but she could tell we knew each other. You two know each other. Seeing the mix of anger and sheer confusion on Khloe's face, I just smiled. Honestly, if I were in her shoes, I'd be confused too. Bankrupt one day, buying the most expensive penthouse in the city the next. It didn't add up. No need for introductions, Sophia. This is my ex-wife. With that, I walked past them toward the entrance. Khloe stood frozen, a wave of embarrassment and curiosity washing over her. She couldn't believe I was the one moving into this place. Part of her wanted to turn and run, but she couldn't make her feet move. She had to know how I could possibly afford this. After a moment of internal debate, she followed us inside. When Sophia unlocked the door, we were greeted by a stunning, minimalist modern interior. The vast, open space made you feel impossibly small. Every detail, from the Steinway piano by the floor-to-ceiling windows to the wine cellar stocked with rare vintages, screamed luxury. No, not luxury. It was something more, refined. Mr. Hayes, are you satisfied with the result? Even Sophia, who looked at high-end properties for a living, was captivated. As for Khloe, she just stood there, staring out the window at the sunlight pouring in, completely lost for words. This penthouse, it was the exact scene from her wildest dreams. That IT was breathtaking. The design is excellent. I'm very happy with it. Sophia beamed. As long as the client was happy, her commission was secure. But then she seemed to remember why they were there and nudged Khloe. Are you going to do the interview or not? Stop spacing out. And remember, you two aren't married anymore. The words hit Khloe like a punch to the gut, right? They weren't married anymore. This was the life she had chosen to walk away from. So why did it hurt so much? Snapping out of her daze, she walked toward me. Ethan, how can you afford a place like this? Her tone was accusatory. I glanced at her, said nothing, and casually sat down on the sofa, pouring myself a glass of whiskey from a crystal decanter. Ethan, what are you yelling about? Maybe I found a sugar mama. Is that a problem? Seeing how worked up she was getting, I didn't feel like explaining. The last thing I needed was for her to throw a massive fit in my brand new home. A few minutes later, after Sophia managed to calm her down, Khloe left. Before she went, Sophia apologized profusely, saying she had no idea Khloe was my ex-wife. I just waved it off. It was fine. The second she was out of the building, Khloe grabbed Sophia's arm. Sophia, whose name is on the deed to that penthouse. Tell me the truth. Khloe, what are you doing? Sophia snapped, pulling her arm away, clearly annoyed. At this point, Sophia deeply regretted bringing Khloe along. She wanted to help her friend get a story, but instead, Khloe had nearly cost her a multi-million-dollar client. I'm sorry, I just need to know who the owner is. Who do you think it is? It's your ex-husband, obviously. The word stabbed at Khloe all over again. For a dizzying moment, She imagined what it would be like if they hadn't divorced. This penthouse would have been hers, too. A $50 million home. A world away from the $2,000 a month apartment she was currently renting. But then, a new thought struck her. Ethan was supposed to be broke. Could it be true? Did he really find a rich older woman? She immediately called her best friend, Olivia. She had to know if the information Olivia gave her was real. At a Bluebird coffee downtown, Khloe and Olivia were huddled in a corner, piecing things together. "Khloe, you need to stop second-guessing everything," Olivia said calmly. "My source was a senior manager at his company. The bankruptcy was legit. And think about it. Wasn't he working like crazy for the past few months? So busy he barely had time to sleep. Always telling you he had to work late. He's a CEO, Khloe. What kind of CEO is pulling all-nighters? He was liquidating assets, figuring out what to auction off, and what to use as collateral. Don't you see?" Khloe nodded slowly. It was true. Ethan's behavior, combined with what Olivia was saying, seemed to line up. And yet, something still felt wrong. Then what about the penthouse? Olivia, do you really think he found a sugar mama? Olivia burst out laughing. Are you serious, Khloe? A sugar mama? What? One who's 30 years older than him? I mean, it's not impossible, Olivia conceded, taking a sip of her latte. But I think it's more likely he was just there to inspect the place for the real owner. Olivia leaned back, relieved. For a second there, when Khloe told her about the penthouse, she had panicked, thinking maybe Ethan wasn't really bankrupt after all. That would have been a disaster. But after thinking it through, she decided she was just scaring herself. If Ethan wasn't broke, why would his own employees say he was? Back at the Sterling Tower, with Sophia and Khloe gone, I looked around the enormous penthouse and started thinking about how many housekeepers I'd need to hire. There was no way I was cleaning this place myself. Just then, an alarm went off on my phone. I picked it up and saw a calendar reminder. August 18th, 2 p.m., Annual Innovators Summit. Shit, I completely forgot about this. I checked the time. It was almost noon. The summit started in 2 hours, and I hadn't even prepared my speech yet. I wondered how something so important could have slipped through the cracks, and then it hit me. The day I was supposed to write it was the day, Khloe and I went to the courthouse. God damn it. There was no time to waste. I pulled out my laptop and got to work. I could have delegated it to my assistant, but an assistant can only ever be good, not perfect. This I had to do myself. In the current financial landscape, I was a leader in my field. How could an assistant possibly capture the message I needed to deliver? At the World Commerce Center, the 28th floor auditorium was packed. It felt like half of New York's business elite was there. At least 1,000 people filled the seats. Today was the annual summit celebrating the city's most promising young entrepreneurs. Ladies and gentlemen, the host began. This year, New York has seen the rise of a truly brilliant young innovator. In less than 2 years, he built his company from the ground up and turned it into one of the top 3 firms in the city. Please join me in welcoming to the stage Mr. Ethan Hayes. As the applause erupted, I straightened my tie and walked onto the stage under the gaze of 1,000 pairs of eyes. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ethan Hayes. Thank you all for being here. It's an honor to be chosen as this year's keynote speaker in a city filled with so much talent. As you all know, I come from the world of finance. Some of my colleagues are kind enough to call me a genius in value investing. But let's be honest, that's a bit of an exaggeration. I'm no genius. I'm just a trader who knows how to play the margins. I could feel the intensity from the audience, see the admiration in the eyes of some of the younger attendees. I knew it wasn't just about my success. It was because I wasn't following the script the media had written for me. I was being real, letting them know that at the end of the day, I was just a businessman here to make money. Meanwhile, when Khloe saw the live stream of the Innovators Summit, her world stopped. The Innovators Summit. Only founders whose companies were in good financial standing were invited to speak. But Ethan was supposed to be bankrupt. She immediately dialed Olivia's number. Olivia, turn on the live stream for the Innovators Summit. Now. What's wrong? Ethan is on stage, giving a speech. What is going on? You told me he was bankrupt. How could a bankrupt person be speaking at this event? Okay, calm down, let me look. Hearing the rising panic in Khloe's voice, Olivia quickly pulled up the live stream. To her shock, Ethan was there commanding the stage. Olivia, I'm here, what? Is it possible he's not bankrupt? How reliable was your source? He was my old classmate, Khloe. He's reliable. Besides, you're already divorced. What does it matter if he's bankrupt or not? Because if he's not bankrupt, his company is about to go public. Public. As she said the word, Khloe remembered something Ethan had mentioned offhandedly a few months ago. Once the company goes public, we'll finally have real money. A horrifying thought began to form in her mind. She scrambled to open her browser and frantically Googled Apex Global Ventures IPO news. The search results came up empty. Why isn't there anything? Khloe was confused. What she didn't know is that companies often keep their IPO announcements under wraps until the last minute, sometimes only posting it on their official website the day before listing to avoid being targeted by competitors. Even so, a knot of dread tightened in her stomach. To be sure, she drove to my company's office building. When she got there, the entire floor was buzzing with employees working diligently at their desks. It didn't look like a company on the verge of collapse. That gave her a small, fleeting sense of relief. But as she walked out of the lobby, another thought struck her. Wait, if he's bankrupt, why are all these people still working? She turned around, walked back inside, and went up to the reception desk. Hi, can I help you? The new receptionist asked politely. I have a question. I heard a rumor that this company was shutting down. Why is everyone still here? The receptionist smiled. Oh, that was just a rumor. I just finished my training and started yesterday. Why would they hire new people if the company was about to go under? The simple explanation sent Khloe's world spinning. She left the building in a daze, wandering aimlessly. Just a few days ago, she had heard the news from Olivia and practically dragged Ethan to the courthouse. If it hadn't been closed for the night, she probably would have divorced him in the middle of the night. She had done it to protect her own lifestyle. And now, only 2 days later, even the receptionist at her ex-husband's company didn't recognize her. Before Khloe could even begin to process the truth, a news alert exploded across the city. Breaking news. At the annual Innovators Summit today, entrepreneur Ethan Hayes announced that his company, Apex Global Ventures, is set to go public on the New York Stock Exchange tomorrow. The story sent every journalist in New York scrambling, all of them racing to the summit. A finance company of this scale would, upon listing, instantly dwarf its competitors. Every independent blogger and TV network wanted to be the first to land an exclusive interview with its founder before the opening bell. Even Khloe's editor was calling her. Hello. Khloe, I know things are complicated between you and Ethan Hayes, but this story is massive. I need you to use your connection, do whatever it takes. Get us the first exclusive interview. Khloe felt her head buzz. She couldn't believe it. She wouldn't let herself believe it. Because if she admitted that Olivia's intel was fake, it would mean admitting she'd been played for a fool, that she had single-handedly destroyed her own future. If they were still married, that $50 million penthouse would be hers. She could picture it, enjoying a quiet breakfast, playing the Steinway as the morning sun streamed through the windows. And that wasn't even the half of it. After the IPO, the company would be worth billions. As his wife, she would have been entitled to hundreds of millions. But now she was living in a cold, rented apartment, working a grueling job as a reporter. The thought made her stumble, nearly losing her balance. Khloe, did you hear me? Khloe. Her editor's voice on the phone brought her back. Yes, I heard you. I just have one question. Weren't there rumors that Ethan was bankrupt? How is his company suddenly going public? Rumors? Khloe, what successful person hasn't been the target of rumors? Some people get rumors started that they're dead. Don't tell me. You didn't divorce him because of that rumor, did you? In that moment, Khloe's last sliver of hope vanished. After she hung up, the tears started to fall. She didn't know if she was crying because she had so foolishly trusted her friend, or because she had just lost out on a fortune. Wiping her eyes, she immediately called her mother. Mom, Khloe, I regret it. I regret divorcing Ethan. You saw the live stream? Yes. It was all fake. The bankruptcy, the sugar mama, all of it was a lie. Ethan never fell. He's been at the top of this city the entire time. Khloe, just let it go. It wasn't meant to be for our family. No, Mom, I was wrong. I was so wrong. You and Ethan are on good terms. Please, can you help me? Good terms? I was on good terms with him because of you, Khloe. I already swallowed my pride and went to see him for you. And do you remember how you acted? You were the one who said you'd never regret it. Hearing that, Khloe slowly lowered the phone. She was right. She had said she would never regret it. And now, just 2 days later, it was the only thing she felt. Wandering through a nearby park, Khloe watched a group of laughing teenagers, and it was like something snapped inside her. I can't give up. I can't just let this go. That's hundreds of millions of dollars after the IPO. Hundreds of millions. With a newfound determination, she ran to the street, hailed a cab, and sped toward the summit. Outside the conference hall, a swarm of reporters mobbed the first person to walk out. Mr. Hayes, what are your plans after the IPO? Mr. Hayes, you've become one of New York's top entrepreneurs at such a young age. What's your secret? Mr. Hayes, do you have any advice for aspiring innovators? As the questions flew, I was about to give a brief statement when a taxi screeched to a halt nearby. The person who jumped out was Khloe. She ran toward the crowd, shoving her way through the other reporters until she was standing right in front of me. Ethan, I know I was wrong. Can we please go back? Go back to last week? She pleaded, tears streaming down her face. I looked at her, my expression blank. If a few tears could earn you $1 billion fortune, I could put on a much better show. I'd stab myself in the leg with a needle until I was bawling if I had to. Ethan, don't you remember our past? She cried. All those years we spent together, do they mean nothing? The other reporters, sensing a story, started snapping photos of her. Who is this woman? Is she his mistress? I don't know. Does anyone recognize her? Hey, isn't that the woman who was dragging Mr. Hayes into the courthouse the other day? Someone complained she cut the line, and she just pulled out a wad of cash and threw it at them. So, she's the ex-wife. What was this woman thinking? His company is going public in a few days, and she's rushing to divorce him. What? Was she afraid he'd leave her a few $1 billion, and she wouldn't know how to spend it? This woman is on another level. Another level of what? She probably heard that rumor about him being bankrupt and actually believed it. Wow, that's insane. No wonder she's here begging for him back. Even with everyone whispering, Khloe didn't care. All that mattered was getting back together. But I was done. I turned to leave, but she blocked my path again. Ethan, after I married you, I never did a single thing wrong. Can't you forgive me for this one mistake? She reached for my hand, but I pulled away. Did she forget what I do for a living? Finance. If I had an ounce of sentimentality, I would have been eaten alive in this industry years ago. Khloe, a mistake is a mistake. There's nothing more to say. Besides, this is what you wanted, isn't it? I said, my voice cold. You were the one in a rush to divorce me. Now, 2 days later, you show up here, begging me to take you back in front of all these people. What's the play here? Trying to make it look like I'm the bad guy? That I'm humiliating you in public? Let me tell you something. I don't have that kind of time. The second we got that piece of paper, we owed each other nothing. I stepped around her and pushed through the crowd. The reporters, sensing my mood, didn't dare follow. What Khloe did next, however, surprised me. She ran in front of me and dropped to her knees. She kept her head down, silent, as if pleading for my forgiveness without words. Just then, Olivia arrived. She ignored Khloe completely and marched straight toward me, her voice dripping with venom. Ethan, that was your wife. Are you just going to let her kneel on the cold pavement? She's wearing a skirt, for God's sake. Looking at her sanctimonious face, I wanted nothing more than to slap her. But then again, if it weren't for her, I never would have seen Khloe's true colors. She'd saved me from a disaster down the line. Ethan, are you even listening to me? Olivia seethed, looking like she was about to lunge at me. I couldn't help but laugh. We're divorced. She's not my problem. And besides, if it weren't for you, I never would have realized what a worthless person she really is. My words, meant only to express what I was thinking, seemed to trigger something in the kneeling Khloe. Her head snapped up, her eyes locking onto Olivia with pure hatred. Olivia Morgan, she snarled. I treated you like my best friend, and this is how you repay me. Do you have any idea what you cost me with your lies? Khloe scrambled to her feet and lunged at Olivia. She was furious. If Olivia hadn't been whispering poison in her ear, she might never have gone through with the divorce. After all, she hadn't married me for the money in the first place. But now, she blamed Olivia for everything. If it weren't for her, Khloe would be living a life where a casual afternoon tea could cost thousands. Instead, she was stuck in a cheap apartment, chasing stories in the wind and rain at the mercy of others. You ruined my life, Olivia. That was the last straw for Olivia. Hey, watch it, Khloe. Have you no shame? You were the one who asked me to look into Ethan, and you were the one who dragged him to the courthouse. What does any of this have to do with me? Olivia shot back, turning to leave. But Khloe grabbed her. Don't you walk away from me. You started this, and you're going to fix it. Are you insane? The argument escalated into a full-blown fight. As a crowd gathered to watch, I just shook my head at the two of them and walked around the spectacle. But just as I was about to get into my car, I heard the screech of tires. The next thing I knew, both Khloe and Olivia were lying on the ground. A pool of crimson spread across the pavement. I couldn't tell whose blood it was. Minutes later, the sirens wailed as an ambulance arrived. The next morning, the IPO was the only story that mattered. Market news. Today in New York, Ethan Hayes' company, Apex Global Ventures, officially went public. Its current valuation is $4.5 billion. We will continue to follow this developing story. After finishing up with the press conference in New York, I took a 10-minute break in my new office. Then I headed to the hospital to check on Khloe. Her mother had called the night before to tell me Khloe's life wasn't in danger, but after everything, it felt like the right thing to do. When I got to her room, before I could even open the door, I heard a strange sing-song voice from inside. Olivia, do you know? Ethan's company went public. $4.5 billion. We were married, so half of that is mine. Half. $2 billion. I'm going to buy necklaces and diamond rings and yachts and supercars. What? I hesitated, confused. Has she lost her mind? We're divorced. She gets nothing. I pushed the door open. Khloe was pacing back and forth on Olivia's hospital bed while her mother tried desperately to calm her down. Olivia herself was still unconscious. Seeing her frantic, disheveled state and hearing her repeat the same delusional phrases, I realized it was true. Khloe had completely lost it. When she saw me standing in the doorway, she stopped, jumped off the bed without her shoes on, and slowly walked toward me. For a fleeting moment, I saw a flicker of clarity in her eyes. Ethan, is that you? It is. Did you ever love me? I did. When I said it, her expression changed for a split second. It was a look of relief, as if she had finally gotten the one answer she needed. But the next moment, she broke into a wild grin. Yay! Billions and billions. I have so many billions. First the cars, then the yachts, then the diamonds and the gems.